Hello everybody, welcome to the I Am IT YouTube channel. My name is Shabazz Dan, unless you've forgotten, I am the IT Geek. Welcome back to another episode, another video within my YouTube channel. So we're going back to the AZ700 series now, which myself and Mohammed Sajid started before Christmas. We got about partway through the first module. We finished on looking at express routes. And you should have seen the first part of that sort of topic earlier this week. So it's a 4-part topic, and we've done some episodes already. The kind of issue with the express route, as I mentioned in the last video, was that it's difficult for me to do demos because, again, you need certain aspects. You need some equipment, and you need a valid line to be able to do express route. But we're going to be talking about in theory. This is episode 8, I believe. And again, in this episode, or it might be episode 9 or 10. It's one of those. I'll clarify which episode shortly. But this is part 3 of the Express Route series that I'm going to be talking about today. And again, we don't have a demo plan for this. We do have for the last episode, which is the final video, video 4 of this topic, which we're going to do about troubleshooting. But in this one, we don't. So Mohammed Sajid isn't joining me for the next couple of videos. And again, just some issues with scheduling, but he will be back later on in the series. So let's crack on with this episode. So as I mentioned, this is going back to looking at express routes, and we're still on designing and implementing Microsoft Azure Network Solutions, because that is the exam topic, the AZ700 exam topic. So specifically today, again, this is a design, implement and manage Azure Express Route part 3. So parts 1 and 2 were released earlier this week. And today we're going to talk about connecting a virtual network to an express route. And we're going to talk about recommending route advertisement configuration. And also finally we'll talk about configuring encryption on express route. And as I mentioned, there's no demo. With express route, unfortunately, I just don't have even though I've got my own tenant, I just don't have like an on-premises environment where I can connect it to, like a router or a firewall or anything like that available. So if you do, again, the link of a link to the AZ700 labs, which are on GitHub, will be in the description, so you can follow them yourselves. So let's crack on with this episode. So if we look at connecting a virtual LAN to an express route, if we start talking about that first, and to be able to do this, again, first requirement, you need to have an active express route circuit. So again, in our scenario, we don't. But to connect a virtual network to an express route, you need a valid circuit and an active one. You need to ensure that your Azure private peering, you have that configured on your circuit as well. So again, that's a configuration. We do look at private peering later on in the series, but you need to ensure that you have private peering configured to be able to do this. Again, ensure that Azure private peering gets configured and establishes that BGP connection and that BGP peering between your network and that Microsoft end, and that's for the end-to-end connectivity. So having BGP peering is very important as well. You need to ensure that you have a virtual network and a virtual network gateway created and fully provisioned within your virtual network in Azure. A virtual network gateway for your express route uses the gateway type express route, not VPN. So we did talk about gateways earlier in the series, and we talked about the different gateway types. So specifically for an express route, your gateway has to have the gateway type of express route. Wasn't clear enough. And you can link up to 10 virtual networks to your express route, standard express route circuit. All virtual networks must be in the same geopolitical region when you're using a standard express route circuit. So you can't have them like other, separate sort of geographical regions. So UK South, etc., Europe North, or whatever. So sticking on the subject of connecting your virtual network to an express route circuit, a single VNet can be linked up to 16 express route circuits. And if you enable the ExpressRoute Premium add-on, you can link virtual networks outside of that geopolitical region of your express route. So again, with the standard version, it's got to be within the geopolitical region. But if you upgrade to Premium, you can have it outside of that. And with the Premium add-on, you'll also allow you to connect more than 10 virtual networks to your express route circuit. Again, depending on the bandwidth you've chosen. So to create the connection from your ExpressRoute circuit to that target ExpressRoute virtual network gateway, the number address space advertised from your local or your sort of peered virtual networks needs to be equal to or less than 200. Okay, so once that connection has been successfully created, you can add additional address spaces, like up to 1,000, for example, to that sort of local or peered virtual network. So let's move on to talking about recommending a route advertisement configuration. So default routes are permitted only on Azure private peering sessions. So that's quite a key thing to remember. Again, this could be very useful coming up to the exam. In such cases, we route all traffic from the associated virtual networks to your network. Okay, so all traffic's routed from the VNet to the on-premises network. From an advertising default route perspective into that private peering, this will result in the internet path from the Azure being blocked. Okay, so when you do, when you route all traffic from the VNets on premises, the result is the internet path is blocked. To enable that connectivity to other Azure resources and infrastructure services, you must make sure one of the following items is in place. So these need to be in place for that connectivity to be allowed. Your Azure public peering needs to be enabled to route traffic to public endpoints. And you should use user-defined routing to allow internet connectivity for every subnet requiring internet connectivity. So again, you might have some subnets that don't require internet connectivity. You don't need to use user-defined routing on them, but for those that do, use user-defined routing, as well as enabling public peering. So finally, before the end of this episode, it's a short episode again because we've not got a demo planned. I just want to talk about configuring encryption over ExpressRoute. So ExpressRoute supports a couple of encryption technologies to ensure confidentiality and integrity of data traversing between your network and your Microsoft network. And MACsec is one of those. And MACsec is an IEEE standard. It encrypts data at the media access control, or MAC, as you might know it better, level, or network layer 2. So you can use MACsec to encrypt the physical links between your network devices and Microsoft's network devices when you connect to Microsoft via that ExpressRoute. And ExpressRoute Direct specifically. MACsec is disabled on ExpressRoute Direct ports by default, so you need to make sure you enable it. So Cipher suites are supported. So specifically, the GCM AES, and you can say there's 120 256, or I've got GCM AES XPN 128 and 256 as well. There are others that are supported, and you can find those on Microsoft's Learn website. IPsec is an IEFT standard as well. So this encrypts data at the Internet Protocol or the IP level or network layer 3. And you can use IPsec to encrypt an end-to-end connection between your on-premises network and your virtual VNet on Azure. So again, we know IPsec from the virtual network gateway, your standard sort of virtual VPN on Azure. So yeah, you can use it within ExpressRoute as well. So that brings us to an end of this episode. So this is a bit of a short one, and because again, unfortunately, I can't do a demo, and there's enough again because of the sort of equipment that I need for an ExpressRoute. But there's some theory there, obviously. After the ExpressRoute, we are going to do a demo in the next one because it's more about diagnosing and troubleshooting. So to keep an eye out for that. As I said, you can see all the useful links. See my socials, see the lab link to GitHub within the description. And yeah, thank you again for your support. I've kind of wanted to get this series restarted again because there's a lot of valuable content. I know a lot of people who are preparing for the AZ700, and if you are, please do follow the series. Obviously give us a like, give me a comment, let me know how you're finding the series, if there's anything that you feel I may have missed, and obviously get subscribing. So thank you for watching, and up until next time, thank you and goodbye.